So what we're going to do is convert fonts to outlines. Okay, so I'm going to recreate what's done here. And so what has happened here is if I take my white arrow, I can see all of the anchor points of the fonts. And in order to see anchor points of a font, you must convert your fonts to outlines. And another thing has been applied to this where the type or the characters are overlapping here and Pathfinder was used. There's an option in Pathfinder where you can exclude. Okay, so what we're going to do is I have a copy here, and I would always recommend that you always keep your original font, the one that is not converted to outline on the side over here. Because what happens is once you create it into outlines and then use Pathfinder, you can't go backwards, right? So that's why I have this here. And this helps me because it helps me remember what font I used. Okay, so I use Bodoni, and I'm just going to recreate this. So how I did this, just to give you a bit of a refresher here, is taking my type tool. So I'm going to start from scratch. And here's my Lauren Epson again. So I'm just going to scale this up. So remember, please hold down your shift key when you scale. So I'm just going to delete what's here. The L is what I'm going to leave here, right? I'm going to make this much bigger. Okay, now I'm going to change my font. So I'm using the Workspace Essentials Classic, okay? And you can see all your fonts are, your character font are up here. You can change what is there or on the side here as well. So I'm going to go in and find the Bodoni font that I used. Okay, so something like that. And I might make this slightly smaller, okay? Now, again, I don't want to do those steps over and over again. So a quick thing that I would do is hold down my Option key, make a copy, and then take my type tool, highlight that text, and just type in another character, right? So you can kind of start overlapping. It just makes your job a little easier. And then take my type tool again and just type in the V. Okay. And you can kind of fix it after, but this is pretty much what we're doing here, okay? And then the last character, type in E. Okay, so right now it's still editable text. I can still edit this, as you can see, right? And so what you're gonna do, I'm gonna select each and I'm gonna move it over as well. Okay, so I'm gonna move it over here. And what I need to do is convert this to outline. So if I select everything, just these letters here, right? There's nothing that tells me to create outlines anywhere. I don't see anything. So what you can do is you can right click. This is one way to do it. And you can create outlines, right? Or you can also go into your type menu at the top and look for create outlines, which here is a shortcut for it, which I believe is Command Shift and O. So you can try any of those ways. I like to right click. So I'm just going to right click and that is it. Now, before I deselect off of it, if you look over to your Pathfinder, you have a couple options here. So the one that I used here is called exclude, intersect, and then we have exclude. So here we go. So now what has happened is now that I've created two outlines, I can take my white arrow and as you can see, now all of these are in pieces. Because I've excluded it, it's essentially sliced it, right? So I'm not going to take it apart, but just to show you, everything is now in outlines. So I'm going to Command Z that. Now let's say I wanted to extend my L top portion a little longer. What I could do is, I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. So if I click, you can see there's a ton of anchor points. These are the anchor points I need to select all of them. So if I click and drag over just the top portion of the L, you can see that these are active and the bottom are white, which means that they're not active and they're not going to move, which is what I want. Now, if I want to bring this up, now I'm going to have to make sure that I click on the actual path and drag up. So you can extend that up to however long you want it to be, but that's how you can kind of manipulate your fonts, right? And the only thing that I did here was add just a color behind the O, which is your ellipse tool. So taking the ellipse tool, adding a different color into it. I'm just going to click in here and find a different color. Or I can use the same color that I've placed in here, which if I wanted to do that, then I can cancel out of here. And then I can use the eyedropper tool. So I'm going to click in here and the pink is ready. So once I start drawing the actual ellipse, it will fill in with the color that I've chosen. Right? And then remember it's behind, so I will place it behind, but that's pretty much what was done here. Okay, so that's it. Now I'm gonna right click and just send it behind because this is all on one layer right now. You can see the serif here is a little different than this one, and same thing with the serif here. So what we're gonna have to do is take the white arrow and click on this portion. And you can also hold down your shift key and click on the V. So these two are selected and then I could change them to white. That's all that was done here. So I can go into my fill here and click on white. And that's how you can do that, right? Now this one is very easy. This is also converted to outlines, but this is just a recreation of the Fendi logo. So how you'd actually do that is this font that I use. Let me just see. It is Avenir. So I'm just going to just make a copy of this. Okay, down here. So what was done here is you're taking the font, you're making a copy of it, holding down the Option or Alt, and you're going to flip it over. So you have this flip horizontal, but it's also flipped vertical as well. So almost like a mirror image. Now, if I place it kind of closer together, you can see that there was manipulation done because because the Fs were extended. So what I need to do is I'm going to select again both and right click, create outlines. And then what I'm going to do is take my white arrow and now you can see the anchor points. Now remember, if I only click on one, then you're only going to be manipulating one. So make sure you click on both, holding down the shift key and click and drag. Okay. Same thing with this one here. I'm going to click, hold down shift, click and drag, right? And if I need to adjust these a little bit, I can do that as well. Just bring it a little closer and bring it a little closer.